What up, though? What up, though, everybody? This Heavy Metal. I got my first podcast jumping off today at the studio. It's gonna be called Popculture Podcast. I'm in the studio with my homeboy on the ones and twos, the Bear.
What up, though?
I got some other OGs in here. Dre with the Authentic Podcast. Did I say that right?
Said it, my man.
Okay. So this is my first podcast, man. So the topic of the idea, the goal of the podcast, of the Pop Culture Podcast, is to educate the uneducated, help the ones that need it, and train and give game to the ones that want it, right? So we're just going to be talking about topics as far as, a big thing now seen in the news, a kid shot himself with an unsecure firearm. So we're going to be talking about firearm safety, community, educating the community, your first firearm that you ever bought, why you buy it, and where did you buy it. Topics like train, why you should train, who you should train with, the $10,000 firearm. If you go to a training situation like me, my first time out training, I might have been inferior or a firearm that wasn't up to par because I got people next to me with $1 million blasters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about topics like that. What's the best caliber to carry, home defense or every day? All this two-way stuff. So we're going to be talking about firearms, like I said, topics that go on in the pop culture, in the world today, things like that. Because I think we need to educate and train the community so they can be better off. So nowadays, a lot of things going on out there that need to be addressed. So we're going to try to address it here. We're going to try to keep it lax, keep it fun, keep it popping. What you think about that, Bear?
Shit, KJ, I think that's dope, man. We got a lot of shit that, that's really needed to talk about. So we're going to cover a lot of subjects with that. We're going to bring a lot of knowledge, a lot of heat. Definitely can't wait to talk about the first gun bought because I got a terrible one. It's probably a lot of people's that once they get into it. But, as we know in the two-way community, a lot of people start off like how we started, like you said, with a trash blaster or a trash piece, and that's just not knowing. And we worked up to some good shit and better shit. So,
And also with that, man, women buying firearms, and that's why we go into what you should buy, and getting comfortable with what you should buy and how to train with it and shoot with it. So we're gonna talk about all them kind of topics, man. And like the main topic, I want to really hit on is the gun safety, as far as teaching kids how to be safe around firearms, especially maneuver around unsafe firearms.
Mm-hmm.
Like we created, me and my partner, Ronald Scipio, the EDC guy, he was the author of the book Erica's Big Day. Yeah, give him a clap. I was a co-creator. So I brought the idea to him a couple years ago, man, because he had already wrote a book on, I think it was called Firearms, for your first firearm. I don't know what exactly it was called, but I brought him the idea to bring a gun safety book to the community for kids because I thought that they were gonna be lost in the sauce. Because you go to CPL class, you don't bring kids, right? It's people over 21.
Right.
So it's gonna be a lot of parents or adults in the house with firearms. So I was like, well, the kids need to learn and get trained or know how to maneuver around firearms. So this was 5 or 6 years ago. He was like, man, you know what? It's a good idea, but I'm kind of exhausted right now from the first book I did. So lo and behold, a couple months later, he's like, man, I got a surprise for you. So he whipped out with the book. And after that, we started making programs and curriculum from that book. We did pretty good with the first time when we released it. Now we're working on trying to get it on like a Kindle, so it's more access to people. More access.
And KJ, that's the book that they use a DPD sometimes too, right?
Well, the PAL picked it up. PAL had it. They did, especially when COVID jumped off. PAL had it, and they did a Facebook reading with it.
Okay.
So they did a Facebook reading in their group, but we're trying to get it really in. I think we really trying to push to get it into schools and get it into like regular everyday curriculum.
Gotcha.
Like back in the day, we had McGruff, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, or whatever he was. So that's our goal, to try to get it into schools so it's an everyday. Well, some education there for the kids to get it, and also parents. Because we had a kid on the, I think it was published yesterday. It was a kid on the southwest side of Detroit that shot himself in the hand with an unsecured firearm.
Yeah, the 5-year-old. I saw that.
Yeah, on Kendall Street. I think that's somewhere in my area. But yeah, so it was unsecured 3-year-old. It was a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old in the house. But he got it, shot himself in the hand. So stuff like that can be avoided. And we keep talking about it.
And the crazy thing is, too, they said that he might lose a piece of his thumb.
Did
he? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we keep talking about it. But like Randy Wimberly from Fox 2 News, when give him a clap. That's the homie. I was on Fox 2. I think I was on Channel 4 and Fox 2 News, and they interviewed us. But I was just like, man, we need to do something beforehand to make things like that not happen. I don't want to be the guy they call afterwards to talk about the book, right? I want to be there. I want to do stuff ahead of time so stuff like that won't happen. So I think like with this podcast, we can touch on it, talk on it. People have questions or where to go, who to talk to, education and curriculum. I can offer that. We can offer that at the ericasbigday.com. Also, I'm gonna put it in the down in the descriptions in the notes. And people, if they want a book or want some curriculum or I got some questions to ask, they can ask. So yeah, we gonna like that's one of my major passions. This is the kid safety stuff. Then we're gonna go into first time you went to a gun range. What was your experience? And then we're gonna go into like the training aspect of the game, especially us being like the inner city. When I first went to a training platform or train, I was the only one there as my color, right?
Yeah,
so it wasn't,
and that tends to be the thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's what you're here to do: help educate and bring more of us,
right? Over to the platform,
people to the platform,
right? I've been doing it for a long time, but we've been making strides towards it. But at the same time, like I said, I was the first. I probably was the only one black African American out there training, you know what I'm saying? So I had fun. It was a great experience. My first training experience was with MDFI, Chicky Trek and them. They was out of, at that time, he was out of Post 46. And I did my first training through them, with them, from level 1s all the way to level 5 or, handgun level 1s, level 2s, AR level 1s, level 2s. So it was a great experience for me. And also, access granted. I also think everybody
moving up in the levels.
Everybody that buy a firearm or do such should get some training.
Some type of training, man, whether they come see you, come see me, come see somebody, man. Get some type of actual training on how to actually do it.
Yeah, because, I come from an athletic background. So my thing was, I trained for basketball and football, so I was like, look, I want to be the best at it. I want to go hard at it. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I just took the same mindset to the firearms. So I was like, I need to learn how to use this firearm. I want to be, in the game. I want to be at the top of my game. I don't want to, I want to learn it. I want to learn the handgun, then I wanted to learn the AR because I wanted to be an asset, not a liability to anybody. When I'm out there. And I figured, look, if I can train myself, I can protect myself. I can protect my family. I can protect my friends and my loved ones if it comes down to it. So that was my mindset when I first, jumped off into the training world. Now I see a lot more people, a lot more of us out there training with any and everybody. Like I said, you don't have to go to strictly a black instructor to get game. You can go to whoever, as long as that instructor is talking that talk that you want to know, giving that game that you can understand and you can apply it. I think that's big. And that, what I'm saying? You don't have to just go to us just because we say a black owned company. You know what I'm saying? Like go to who giving you the game that you can understand and apply.
And just to add to that too, man, I think a lot of people get that twisted. You know what I'm saying? Because, and this is not to shun anybody in our community, especially the Black 2A community, but like just to piggyback on what you said, make sure you go to somebody that actually does have the right knowledge. Because, we know plenty of other black instructors that, just to say it lightly, they just really not going to give you as much as what you really need.
Right. Yeah. And then it's a I don't say a misconception, but it's a bridge between a CPL instructor and then like a instructor that give advanced classes, right? So you got a CPL instructor that may just be that's like getting your CPL is just the bare bones of the game, right? So you got to go to a class where you can get advanced level training and understand the firearm. Because most people, you go to a CPL class, you get your 8 hours or whatever they doing now,
Right.
and then you go shoot in the range. They give you your certificate. Hopefully, you understand how to carry your firearm home, and keep it safe, and don't get pulled over and get caught up. But most people just think, okay, that's it. I shot it. I got my CPLs. That's it. I tell people, look, that's just the bare bones. That's just the jump off, right? That's the tip of the iceberg. You need to go up there at least twice a month and shoot, if not, at least 3 times a month and shoot, and then look into some outside of the box training with some people that you can train with and get game from. So, I tell people, like, look, CPL class is just the bare minimum. That's where you start at, but that's not the finish line. The idea is to get comfortable with that firearm and to get well trained with that firearm. So that was kind of like my experience and just trying to get game back to stuff that I learned to the people, and that's the whole purpose of the Pop Culture Podcast. Pop Culture Podcast 223. Give me the all access. Everybody gonna get this all access. Access granted. The bear on the 1s and 2s, he doing it real good for me. You know it. Like I said, this is the first one, man. First of many. Another topic I wanted to, we probably dig into at a later date, the $10,000 firearm. You go to these training things and you think that you need a $10,000 firearm to get busy, but you don't. You see these guys that are with the Gucci guns, but you don't need that. Look, my coach used to say, look, you got my basketball coach used to say, look, you got $200 shoes on, but you got $10 worth of nickel worth of game. So that applies to that too, right? You got this whole bust down AR, but you ain't got a nickel worth of game with it. So, what you think about that?
Hey, and to piggyback with that, man, that's the thing. Like, and there's nothing. There's not a dig on you and
Look,
Sinister 556.
Sinister 556 is the
man's right there.
Sinister is the guy. That be.
You know what I'm saying? And I shout him out too, because that's our guy. That's your guy. That's my guy. Nah, that's my man's. But y'all shooters. So y'all the staccato guys. I call y'all the staccato boys. Y'all got them big joints. But y'all shooters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all been doing this for a minute. You know what I mean? You can't be the novice. Go out there, get a $4,000 firearm and think that, okay, I got the best of the best and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But 1, you don't know how to shoot it. 2, you don't know how to maintain it. And then just like at the match we did, like my man, what's your man's name?
Jeff.
That Jeff was telling us that,
don't get water in it.
You get a little sand in there, bad boy.
Yeah, I put that joke up. So he's like, I got to clean it. I got to dig into it. I'm going to put this up and get that MMP 2, that MMP 5 2.0.
So that, and a lot of people don't understand that. They just think I got the best of the best and I'm about to be out here killing them. And it's not, it's more to it than that, So like KJ said, man, go get some training, man. Understand it first and build your way up to it.
So what was your first firearm that you bought?
So we gonna get into that. All right, let's all get the laughs in right here, man. We gonna get the laughs in.
First, it was an XD, wasn't it?
No, my very first firearm I ever purchased, man, was a fucking High Point. Excuse me. it was a High Point 9mm.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I'm glad you.
Yes, I've come way a long way from that, there, man. That's the hilarious part. But so here's what happened. Here's what it was. And I grew up around guns my whole life. But, at the time of being old enough to buy guns, purchase them and get them and so forth, I went to the gun store and like you said, where we bought it, it was a gun store on, I think it's Van Dyke. I want to say, I don't know if that's still Warren or if it was no, it was still Warren. It was like Van Dyke and like 9 Mile area, right? Little small store, little mom and pop shop. And literally I'm in there just looking at guns. And I did the typical, what most new firearm owners do that don't know, literally see a gun, see the price, and you're like, oh, well, shoot, it's a gun, but it's $120. Let me go ahead and grab that. I like
all guns work sometimes, right?
Right, you know what I'm saying? But again, that's being the novice, no knowledge, not knowing, so forth. And make it even worse, I'm at a gun and knife show like a couple months later, I bought another one. But I bought the 40 cal High Point because again it was like
you was doing something, huh?
$150. I'm like, sure, I got 2 guns now. Blah 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 blah. And I was going to the gun range, and I was going to Target Sports on Woodward, And every time I kept going there, the dude kept saying, I'm thinking first, salesman talk. He's like, man, you got to get you a Glock. You got to get you a Glock. You got to get you a Glock. I'm like, man, you just trying to sell me a fucking Glock, blah, blah, blah. But the more and more I got to it, the more and more I started being there, I started realizing, man, maybe I need that Glock. Or at least something better. And I just started noticing the bullshit with them guns.
But what in that gun got you to realize that wasn't it?
Everything. So the capacity was low. It was big as hell and bulky. People, talking shit about, the robot. What did my man call the big one? Somebody called it the RoboCop gun. You know what I'm saying? Talking shit about it, and then just noticing it wasn't really accurate. How heavy it was. All this shit. It just everything about it was just like trash, and things that you don't know. But being a smart enough individual, you start really noticing. You like, okay, and I saved up a little bit more bread. And I had, at the time I was at the plant, so I had, the money to do it. So I got hip to that 357 SIG round, fell in love with that. That was my first real gun, Glock 32. Loved it.
See,
loved it.
My dad, passed away years ago. He had a Glock, so I wanted a Glock. So because he had a Glock, I went and bought me my first firearm was a Glock 19.
Okay, I was about to ask you, what was your first?
Glock 19. I was right there with it. I ain't do all that. Everybody else bought the Ruger 45. The guy around. I went and got me a Glock 19, and at that time they might have been like they were still like $450.
Yeah, it was like $4 something because I think I paid like $470 for mine back then. Yeah,
so I jumped off the bridge, porch, got me a Glock. And that was it, man. I was, I was looking for training all around. And then, we go to the range. I got the Glock. I'm looking over like, oh, Ryan got that, the bear got that high point. I should talk to him. I should tell him that ain't what it is, man. So that was my first one was the Glock 19, man.
And just to add to that before you go on, because I just want to get this point out here. That's the difference, though, with a lot of people that don't realize of having somebody in your corner that knows or has had a firearm that could put you down that path. Because like you said, your dad had a Glock. So you had somebody to tell you, like, yo, you had an instance, whether he told you or not, you had an instance of, okay, this is what he got. That's what I, blah, blah, blah. I ain't had that. So because I ain't have that,
right.
I had street niggas. You know what I'm saying? So enough street niggas that was, rocking with whatever. Like you said, that fire, pull the trigger and it goes.
You know what? And it was funny. It was on the news the other day. Some lady found a high point in a bag in the road.
It wasn't a high point.
It wasn't?
No. So I know what you're talking about. So the story was an older lady was doing some cleanup, and she do it not too far from here too. They said it was in Detroit, but I don't know how it's geographically cut up, but technically I think that's Redford. But anyway, so it was in a bag, like in a baggie with bullets. Everybody think it's a high point. See, this is where the knowledge comes in. This how far your boy Bear. I'm gonna give myself class for this. This how far your boy Bear has come in his gun knowledge and whole everything. It actually was like a Jennings.
Okay, it looked like a high point the way it was sitting in there.
It do, but I could tell the difference between like with the grip and everything, because that's part of my thing, knowing all guns to know what's trash, the bullshit. So when people come to classes, we know,
right?
Like, hey, I don't know if you should have that. I don't know if you really don't want that sky. You don't really, all the stuff like that. But, and then on top of that, it was a 22. Now, all guns can do damage, flat out. You know what I'm saying? But, again, it was a 22. But still, like you said, we thought it was a high point. High point don't make 22s. Smallest caliber, they make it a 380. But, yeah. But still, go ahead with the story, though.
I guess that too, because you seen it was 22s in there in the bag, so that kind of gave it. I was like, man, that's a high point. I said, but did the high point make 22s? But I just seen it like, somebody threw away that high point again, so I wasn't tripping. I wasn't tripping. But yeah, man, that was
the other part of that story though too. If you peep later on, which they didn't emphasize on more, somebody threw a Glock 26 out though.
Did they?
Yeah, the rest of that story, it was either a Glock 26 or a 30 that they found like a week or two before then. I'm like, damn, what the hell going on over in that neighborhood?
I didn't read the rest of the story, but like I said, I did that. I got a Glock, and then I got a Glock 23, that 40. I should have never did that. That thing was harder to shoot, man.
Really? I like them 40. But the 23 is, I got a 22 though.
I had a 23.
I like the 22.
And then I got me a AR pistol. Still an AR pistol. to just in case they following us. Still an AR pistol.
No brace, no case.
Yeah, no brace, no case. Still an AR pistol, man. It was a Spikes. Got it for my birthday at the gun show, and then it jumped off from there, man. I unfortunately sold my Glock 19s, man. I was upset about that.
So real quick, man. I know you probably got a list that you're going for program, but just to touch on this, because I've been curious to this, and probably want to chop it up with you on this too. So you said it was a Spikes AR-15.
It was it was a Spikes AR-15.
So how do you feel? Because I know the level you at, but just keeping it 100, the level of shooter you at, but keeping it 100. How do you feel about the lesser brand ARs versus like the higher end, like the Delta Defense, not Delta, the Daniel Defenses and stuff? Because correct me if I'm wrong, ARs are different from pistols in the tune where you don't per se, big air quotes there, having a high point of ARs, correct?
Oh, you got a high point of AR.
Okay, tell me about them.
What you mean? So you talking about as far as pistol concerned, like the
ARs?
Just okay,
ARs, yeah.
So
like give me like you said a Spikes. I'm pretty sure that's like an entry
so
level.
Spikes was it was
versus, you know what I mean?
So Spikes was kind of a low end firearm, like the Diamondbacks. Those would kind of be like a low end firearm.
Okay.
Only why I say that because a low end AR, real low end AR. Only why I say that because I come up in a world where we'll go out and we used to train, shoot 1,000 rounds of AR, or run an 8-hour class and be in there going through 800 rounds, and you got a line of 15 people, 10 people, and you got what you got and they got what they got, and you look and that thing keep jamming up, keep locking up, keep this, keep that. So you find out what brand they got, and like, okay, well I'm gonna stay away from that, or I'm gonna veer from this.
Right.
So you got them. Like the nice armament is like a Gucci AR. They up there because everything they build it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Is really nitpick of what they put in there. Daniel Defense is a good one. You never can go wrong with a BCM. And just my experience running firearms, especially with the ARs, the flatter they shoot, the flatter they are, it's like riding a caddy, man. You know what I'm saying?
How do you feel about like the mass produced, like I don't want to say like the big box stores, but like the big box company ones, like the M&P 15, the Ruger 5.56, and then like the Springfield Armory Saint. Like, how do you feel? Like, where do you kind of rank or categorize those? Would you say those would be like low end, middle ground? Because we know they're not on the Daniel Defense levels and those types.
So
of
the M&P, the M&P made one. I want to say it was called the Tactical.
Okay.
M&P Tactical. That was a solid. I mean, for a first time AR, that was solid. Okay. ARs is like you party off better building your own. But if for a first time AR, that was a solid one. For me,
like the Radical firearm or Radical.
See, I didn't get into the Radical. I bought an Anderson setup. Okay. It was $800. It was like $600 or $700. It was a Anderson, and I bought it from a homeboy at Gun Barnes too, which no longer is open. And then my other Sinister 5.56 bought a Daniel Defense, and I fell in love with the Daniel. I said I just should have spent the extra money and bought once instead of buying this one for $600 and putting through $300 in it to make it where I want it.
Gotcha.
Then I started finding more AR-15s and found out like, oh, I like this. I like the way it shoot flat. I like this. And then I had the AR pistol, and that thing was like they shooting a damn shotgun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It was too much kick. I had a pig on the front. They were trying to push the the force out, blast out in front, but it couldn't compare to some of the upper echelon rifles as far as shooting concerned. Because once, like I said, if you go to the range and they're shooting 20 or 30 rounds and you buy another box 20 or 30 rounds and you dip, you don't really get a real representation of what that firearm can do. Now you out there running and gunning for 8 hours, you got to do guns up, up drills with it, and you shooting 1,000 rounds. You be like, oh, this gun heavy. Oh, this gun light. Oh, this gun shoot flat, and I can, double tap or get my shots on top of each other, with that firearm. So what I'm saying, it's a lot of things to go that plays into that.
Right.
Why AR-15 shoot the way it shoot, or why it shoots as flat as the way it does. But like, you can't go wrong with a BCM. You can't go wrong with a Daniel Defense. Them Saints, I'm not too familiar with them. How they run, how they shoot. I see a lot of people buy them. They get a good deal on it. But like, once you dive off into that whole of AR-15s, and that was like a topic of my, on here, like the $10,000 rifle, right? You go to the training for, you go to outside and training. This dude got a $10,000 rifle, but he ain't got to lick a game. You know what I'm saying? He just want, the flashy firearm or the flashy Gucci bust down rifle, but at the same time, he ain't got 10 cent worth of game. So. That's one of them topics. I don't think you need it. I just think you need a solid. You just start off solid first. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of roll yourself into buying more or getting better equipment.
So I think, because I've been wanting to start doing some gun reviews as well. Of course, just doing them for video purpose or editing or whatever. Not editing, but content purpose as well on some of my own guns, and then my brother's guns, and maybe some of your guns or whatever. But newer guns, like you was talking about with the Springfield, I've heard like a lot of good things about them. I know they got another bullpup one that's called a Hellion. I kind of like that one, so I kind of want to do. But I think eventually, when we go train one of these days, I might pop up with one of them. Like, hey, KJ, let's put it through its paces and see what it do, type of thing.
Hey, man, I try to,
get it out there, because I'm all about that, man. Because I like the whole aspect of knowing that this is, this is on this level, this is on that level, and this is this level. But I also like to shoot. You know what I'm saying? And also like to see how good is something. You know what I'm saying? How does this stack up to that Daniel Defense? How does that stack up to the nice armament? Because not everybody's going to be on those levels. So we do want to be able to let people know, hey, for those that are more budget friendly or that don't have, you still want to be able to do with it. This is a good piece of, a good tool to work with, and so forth, so forth.
And that was another thing too, I want to talk about, touch on. When women going to a good gun store can make your experience buying a gun like the best thing out there. Because you can go to a gun store and you don't know nothing, but then they treat you kind of bold, you know what I'm saying? Or they trying to rush you out there, they just throwing stuff in your face and you don't know. Like, you go to a good gun store and you can have a great experience. You always up in there talking to the guys. They real knowledgeable. Like, I go to Uncoiled a lot. I've been knowing Joel and them for get them a clap. I go to Uncoiled right there on Middle Belt at 96 a lot. Uncoiled Firearms, and I've been knowing them since they was in Westland, and they real pretty good, knowledgeable, good prices. It's all cool up there, man. They treat you.
They got a good setup there too.
They got a great setup. It's almost like second to Ann Arbor Arms. You used to go to Ann Arbor Arms like Toys R Us to a gun guy, but now I go to Uncoiled. We were just sitting there and look at stuff we didn't seen last week, thinking they got something new. But I just think like getting a good experience at a firearm store is like top of my list, because you can go in there and I can just shut you all off. Especially you a new firearms owner and you don't know too much. You think you know too much, but you really don't know. So they got some good guys in there, man, that's real educated, that can give you some good game. And I think that, you go in there, especially you go to a store and they tell you, well, you should have this or you should have that, or because you this, because you that, you should be shooting this. So I just say, look, go buy something, run it. If it's not what you want, find something better.
Right.
And
that's been my experience. Like I tell people, the last class that we was doing, that you helped me out with. Shout out to you for helping me out on that, because I definitely appreciate that with the range time and everything. I don't know what's going on with the claps. They just like to act stupid sometimes. But, sometimes you'll get that. You'll get the husband that's kind of overbearing. It may say, well, I want her to shoot this. I want her to do this. Or, you get a lady that comes in there, a female shooter that, is new and says, what's a good girl gun, or what's a good gun for me? And the problem with that, like you said, you go to the store, a lot of them, they just kind of see the women coming and just say, well, this is a good gun, gun for you as a lady. And it's always like some type of small 38 that's pink or Tiffany.
LCP 90 Ruger.
Right. And it's like, don't do them like that, man. Because if you wouldn't put that in your mama's hand, or you wouldn't carry it, I mean.
So cool, funny story, right? Funny story. So my mother-in-law calls me. She out of town. She out with her friends out of town in Florida somewhere. So she say, hey, my friend is having a birthday party at a gun range. Women, right? She said, "What kind of gun should I be shooting?" I said, "Hey," she said, "What should I say to them when I go into her?" I said, "Look, tell them to hand you a staccato." My wife like, "Don't tell her to shoot that." You know, my mother-in-law, she's short, you know, older lady. She's like, she was like, "Shout out mother-in-laws."
Hell yeah.
So she was like, what kind of firearm should I be shooting? I said, "Look, when you go in there, ask them for staccato." So my wife was like, "No, she can't shoot the staccato." So I was like, "All right, bet." I said, "Ask them, do they got a 380 easy Smith and Wesson? That's Smitty, 380 easy, and shoot that." I said, "That's a good gun to. This is our first time, right?" So I said, "Ask them, do they have a 380 easy, and just stay right there." I said, "But then ask them, can you shoot an AR-15?" And my wife's like, "No, she can't. She too little, you know." So she just like, it might hurt her shoulder, this, that, and the third, right? So come to find out, you know, I was talking to her after the event, and she was like, "Yeah, I shot a 9mm. It was a Ruger." I said, "Probably was an LCP 90, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know why they." You know, the first gun they give a female maybe an LCP 90, in my opinion, right? I said, "But how did you like it?" She said, "Well, I like the 380 easy." She said, "But I fell in love with the AR-15." I was like, "I told you." I said, "People get scared of." She said, "But I was shooting it," and I was like, "Ooh." I was like, the misconception of, because you hear it, it's gonna be loud, but
it's a big gun.
It's a big gun, but most women that shoot that firearm, they fall in love with it.
And
so,
man, and that's the thing. My wife loves my AR. She's got her own pistol. My wife's, for Christmas last year, well, 2021, I bought her first firearm, 365X, and she liked it. She loves it. But
the SIG, right?
Yeah, the SIG.
Yeah.
And it hurt my heart because I'm a Glock guy. I'm a Glock CZ
No,
guy.
I like that. We was up there the other day. I like that. I like that SIG.
But I like that one, that 365X. But when she shoots my AR, she loves that boy. I told her, I'm like, "Hey, if it goes down, you want Overwatch, baby. I'm gonna give you that." You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the wives, but you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna give you that. And I'm gonna take that the MCK and do my thing or the shotgun, but you want Overwatch with that AR because that's what you like to do, and she money with it. So
Yeah, and that's with the training in the community, like and I say let's train the community. It ain't all about it's not always about the firearm too, right? I want to get the community to be up on CPR. I want to get the community to be up on Stop the Bleed. You know what I'm saying? Because we're in the city. And that's another segment we're going to do. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. It's called Detroit Don't Care, right? And like you in the city, 9 times out of 10, a kid or going to be with their aunt, their grandparents, or somebody. So they need to know CPR, right? They need to know Stop the Bleed because what happened in the hood? They get that chitty chitty bang bang. So they need to. Right, so they need to know things like that. So it's not all about just training, shooting a firearm. You know what I'm saying? I want to expose a lot more people to the world I come from because it is a different world. And just like you said, the CPR, to Stop the Bleed, and just, getting familiar with a firearm, things like that. So that's why, the training part in the community is a big passion of mine, to try to get the community trained on all aspects of self-defense and the self-knowledge.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, man, it's more than just getting the gun, going to CPL class, and then going from there. It's way more than that.
Right. In my opinion, definitely with that. And that's why, wanted to say, like, and why I train and my auntie like, you the Black Rambo, you the Action Jackson. I'm like, I ain't the Action Jackson. I just get into it. I just like I said, I used to coach 16 years Westside Broncos, Sweet Pea Green and Gold. I coach. I played at all levels of football. I played highest level of football. So it was just a competition thing. So I wanted to replace that with something.
Right.
Then I got into the firearm.
Right.
And I just got into it. So.
Right.
For me, it was just like, competition, shooting, people talking junk, talking whatever, let's get at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I jumped in it. So I just try to, get that game back. But, like my thing was, and that's the topic is like Detroit don't care, right? They don't care who you are. Don't care where you at. You can catch it, right? So why not train like it? You know what I'm saying? You may catch me on the videos shooting with my battle belt and all this, that, and the other. Right. But I like to train and shoot in what I came in, my clothes, my everyday apparel, right? Like I said, Detroit don't care where they catch you. It is what it is. So you got to train, train appropriate.
So, hey, KJ, are you going to do a segment or do anything? We're talking about gear as well. Like
Yeah, we're gonna do gear. I got some. Like I said, that's another topic idea we can touch on. I got gear. I've been wearing and running. Like I said, but I try to keep it minimal. I try to keep it concealed as much as possible. I don't want you to know that I can unleash holy hell on you.
Well, maybe there's like a difference of like you said, like competition gear for like stuff that we use when running comp. Stuff that definitely you and 556 do, Sinister 556 do, and then versus EDC gear,
right?
Because a lot of people don't really know, that's probably on the deep end for the competition stuff for the heavier shooters, but definitely at least EDC stuff because a lot of people don't, I think
it's a difference between like
just having your firearm, let alone having more, stuff for your EDC. Because I got a flashlight, I got a knife, I got.
So like shooting competition like IDPA, US IPSC or USPSA. It's a difference between that and then like the axe matches that we went to. It's a different type of mindset. Like some of the game is the same, but it's a different type of way you could shoot them. Like it's all point based and time based, but the way you approach the game at an axe match opposed to an IDPA match is totally different, and that's why I try to expose people to the IDPA. Like in your journey of training, I think you should get into competition shooting.
Oh, most definitely. That's why I'm glad we met because that's what I've been trying to get into.
Right. So I think in that journey of your training, you should throw a competition, whether it be IDPA, IPSC, or come out with us and shoot some shoot some axe matches. So I think you should definitely do the competition part because it kind of pushes your brain power and your skill to the utmost. You hand you that. You gotta smell that. What is that? That's that 50 cal.
I kind of like this, man.
That's that what? Cough medicine?
Yeah, this that hunch punch from
It's a Smoky down the street from my job, man. I need to run in there and grab some peaches. I'm gonna grab some for my homeboy.
Oh yeah, and the peaches, man.
Them boys were slapping. Yeah. But like I said, the segment, man, like Detroit don't care. What do you think Detroit don't care about?
Man, it was you that sent me the one about Detroit, right? The picture, not the picture, but the reel. Was it you that sent me the one about the reel about the dude talking about being in Detroit?
Yeah.
That was spot on point with it. So I agree with that 110%, 110%, because it's like, okay, look, you sit up here, and the next thing you know, you talking, and you sitting there thinking of what my man said, and you like, damn.
Detroit make you make bad decisions.
He's spot on. Like you don't really realize it until you either get older and grown, like we are, and then realize, like, damn, I did some dumb stuff when I was younger, or you literally do like he do and realize, like, you know what? I'm doing some dumb old stuff right here, man. Let me go ahead and leave so I ain't making these. Because he's right, man. Because like you look at it, like I never really fully fell into that trap of that, but like he said, man, like you'll be broke, but you got on some Cardis.
Got some yays on.
You got some yays on.
Remember back in the day, you got the Pelly well on. You got the Pelly Pale on.
You know what I'm saying? You sitting around with some Morris on. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even gonna say the George, but you got on some old slick stuff, and it's like, but you riding the bus.
You riding the bus.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't even got the beater car. You riding the bus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How many times have we seen that dude? He's fresh as hell at the bus stop. You know
like Detroit don't care, man. Detroit don't care who you are, where you from, bro. They don't care.
And this ain't even a diss on the city. We just know where we at.
Detroit don't care if you famous, man. They know people don't care.
Man.
They don't care where you at. And that's why I say, man, I'll be out there training just to stay. Like, look, Detroit don't care. They don't care. Like, you get caught, you get caught.
Hey man, this is one thing I'll say, man, is being, and I ain't really went nowhere. I've only been to a few states, you know what I'm saying, a few cities, and done a few things, you know what I'm saying. I've been to, my share.
You did a few things.
Yeah, I've been to my share, but my point is, like, it's real when they say you get respect when you from Detroit, you know what I'm saying. Me and my brother here, he'll tell you everywhere we go, that old English D is with it. You catch me with this.
I gotta tell you a funny story.
Or whatever, but normally I'm wearing some other stuff. But when we go out of town, I'm always wearing a fresh, fresh old English D, and it's the respect because a lot of people that know, they know. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have like the big Crips and Blood gangs here. We don't really have like big factions, but it's just
block on block.
It's block on block, hood on hood. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got some gangs.
Hood on
stuff,
hood.
You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying?
Hood for hood on hood.
Brightmoor versus East Side versus the West versus 48234 and all you know what I'm saying, all kind of stuff. But it's the whole thing of I don't want to say we all looked at as goons, you know what I'm saying? But the city is represented or respected as in terms of being represented. Like
one thing too, and shout out to Zeke from New Era Detroit. Like he pushed that community watching community, right? Mm-hmm. So you know what I'm saying. So like if you in the neighborhood in the hood should watch you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying. Another thing is the hood don't love you. You know what I'm saying? Now, back in the day, it might have did, but the hood don't love you. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch it.
Yep, things have changed.
You know what I'm saying? I grew up on the southwest Detroit, man. Everybody on the block knew you. You walked down the street, did something bad, some auntie gonna run out there with a belt and tear your ass up. You know what I'm saying? So it was just different, man. Like I said, back in the day, the hood loved you. Nowadays, you don't know. The hood don't really love you like that. Right. So
yeah, that's the worst part about it too, man. Because like you said, it was that code. Like you could be the kid that was cool. You wouldn't have to be the special hooping kid, but just because you was the kid that wasn't the street dude,
right? But
the street dudes knew you. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they respected and left you alone, didn't really mess with it, blah, blah, blah. But now, it's like everything's off limit now.
It's just different, man. Like the game didn't change. These kids didn't change. But like my son goes to West Bloomfield.
Shout out WB.
WB, right? But my mama said my daughter's more 313 than my son is. My little Belle, she fire, man. And every time my son go, like he travel baseball. So every time he leave out the state, me and my wife, because she from the east side. So me and my wife like, go grab some Detroit stuff. Go wear this, go wear that. He was like, no, that don't look. I'm like, man, listen, bro.
You better represent.
Listen, bro. You better tell her you play baseball. It's not a lot of us that get down to play baseball. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, look, when you go out here, you got to represent, man. You got to make sure you represent that Detroit thing, man. So that's kind of everything, in a nutshell. Like I said, I really want the pop culture to be for the culture. And it's like I said, Pop Culture 223. We're going to be talking about community work. We're going to talk about firearms. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons to this, to that, why you should train, who you go train with, things of that nature. Topics may pop up throughout the segment. We might jump off into something else, but the root of it is just community. Like I said, the ideal of it, the goal is to educate the uneducated, help the ones that need it, and train the ones that want it. So that's it for me, man. I want to thank my man on the ones and twos, the Bear, everybody at the studio for letting me come in and do my show. Thank y'all, brothers.
Man, we're going to try to get these claps fixed too, man. I don't know if we got to redo them or what.
I don't know. You got some radio claps. You know how radio used to be.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them today, man, but they trip every now and then. I don't know.
So, yeah, man, that's it from me. Like I said, thanks for having me in here and giving me the ability and the production stuff, because y'all set up in here real nice.
You in here, baby.
I told my people, I was like, listen, man, y'all just show up. They got everything else.
Yeah, so we good, man. And that's, we're going to get it going, man. I look forward to the journey with you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Being on here with the rest of the family, Deuce Crew Productions.
What is it called?
Deuce Crew Productions.
Deuce Crew Productions?
Yes, sir.
And we got the Authentic Podcast with Dre.
You know what
what is it? TL?
TLM.
We're going to edit that out.
We ain't gonna go. We can leave. We just ain't going to talk about what it fully is. But,
we ain't going to fully. That's an inside joke. We get it.
But yeah, the whole family, Deuce Crew Productions. We got a few different shows. We started off with Dub and the Bear. It starts off with STS, which is Shooting the Shit with Dub and the Brown Bear, where we just talk about everything.
I thought that was dope, man.
We also have the Authentic Dre Podcast, where literally you never know what Dre's going to talk about, but trust me, it's a great show.
Every time I come in, I'm like, dang.
And we also have the ladies from Let Us Be Women. Shout out to the whole family there. So we appreciate KJ coming on and being a part of the.
We got the Pop Culture Podcast 223.
Pop Culture Podcast is a part of it now. And we may have some more other things in store for us as well for the production company. So look out for all the shows that we do. We do cross promote and do appreciate everybody else on here. You know what I'm saying? Because you may catch one of us on another show somewhere. You never know.
That's it for me.